Welcome to Obscured Reality with Mark and Stephanie. From UFO sightings to the lost city of Atlantis, from alien encounters to the living dead, each episode will leave you questioning reality. If you're ready to explore the eerie, tune in to Obscured Reality, where mysteries come alive.
Welcome back to Obscured Reality. Jared, Stephanie, and Mark. We are back. No opening music because you already got an intro. You don't need to. Yeah, we got a nice one tonight. Interesting topics. Stephanie and I have definitely talked about this a few times, not in depth, but mysterious possibly. And you get to pick fact or fiction. I think Jared knows a little bit about this guy, and he might be able to school us as well. We're talking about David Paulides. Now, side note, I lost my notes on this. I did have them, so bear with me. I'm gonna have to skim through. I'm guessing now some Wikipedia, but it's not long, and then before we really go into it after that, there's going to be background on him and what he's doing and some of this stuff. Right after that, before we really go into it and see how Jared is going to school us on this guy, I got some data to share. It's quick, but I have some data to share.
Also, behind the scenes moment, Mark cried a little bit off screen, but I heard him. I don't have to lie about it.
I cry.
Okay, yeah, he cried a little bit because he couldn't find the notes.
I spent my time on the notes. Stephanie's doing her job, trying to bring me down and working. You can't make fun of someone that makes fun of themselves.
Oh no, I'm just encouraging.
All right, so David Paulides. You guys may have heard of him. He's been in a few different shows, podcasts, interviews. He is the guy behind the missing 411, as he calls it. This has to do with the careful how I phrase this. This has to do with missing people in the national park system that is allegedly mysterious, and we'll go into that. But let's go into who this guy is and listen to a little bit about him, and then we'll look at some data real quick. So he is a former police officer in the United States. He is now an investigator and a writer. He is known for his books dedicated to proving the reality of Bigfoot, as well as, which I did not know, as well as establishing the missing 411 conspiracy theory. So Missing 411, it's a series of self-published books and films. He's making the assertion that there's mysterious disappearances within the national park system throughout the U.S. True or not true? Don't know. We know people go missing. He does claim their circumstances surrounding the cases are unusual and mysterious, although the data analysis suggests that the disappearances themselves are not statistically significant or particularly unusual. We'll look at that in a minute. He's of Greek ancestry. That matters? I don't think so. Let's see.
That's unusual to note, but okay.
Yeah. Well, he states that he received his undergraduate and graduate degrees from the University of San Francisco, and in 1977, getting to an important part about this guy, he began a 20-year career in law enforcement, transferring in 1980 to the San Jose Police Department, working in the patrol division and on the SWAT team, patrol and street crimes unit, and a variety of assignments in the detective division. Now, here's kind of the important part. While working as a court liaison officer in 1996, he was charged with a misdemeanor count of falsely soliciting for a charity. So let me go into that a little more in depth, which is really not much more. Basically, the reports indicate he was accused of using city stationery to solicit memorabilia. That's all I found on that. I don't know that we need much more. That tells us a lot right there, I think, or can tell us a lot. So we're going to skip the Bigfoot stuff. Jared, if you know anything about that in a little bit, you can school us on that. I want to jump to the missing 411 because I think this is the biggie with him. We already know, okay, he peddles Bigfoot stuff. He may or may not believe it's real. But let's jump to missing 411, okay? Um, so this is following his work on Bigfoot. He jumped into the missing 411. So this is self-published books and 2 documentary films documenting unsolved cases of people who have gone missing in national parks and elsewhere. According to Paulides, his work on the subject began when he was doing research in a national park, and an unnamed off duty park ranger approached him and expressed concern about the questionable nature of some of the missing person cases which occurred in the parks. Now, well, let me continue. The ranger knew Paulides' background and asked him to research the issue. Paulides obliged and asserts that he uncovered multiple lines of evidence suggesting negligence on part of the park service in failing to locate the missing people. He broadened his investigation to include missing people from across the world, blah, blah, blah. Don't care about the rest. Now, I want to mention something on that real quick. I've heard this story numerous times about this park ranger, and it was from the story I recall, him specifically telling in interviews, it was 2 park rangers. And his story goes basically, he was walking around, and I forget if it was Yellowstone or Yosemite. For some reason, I want to say it was one of those 2. I could be wrong. And I don't know what he was doing, but he said he had noticed these 2 park rangers were kind of following him around. And later he had left and gone to his home or wherever he was staying. And these 2 guys showed up off duty, these 2 park rangers, because they apparently knew who he was somehow, and hit him up saying, hey, mysterious things going on here, missing people. So it's kind of how that went down, just a generic version of it. As of August 2021, he has written at least 10 books on the topic. This is boring, but also important. Shows he's making money off this. He does not yet have a theory on what is causing the disappearances, although he indicates that the field of suspects is narrowing. Yeah, I mean, that keeps you
suspense.
involved.
Keeps me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
You know?
Can't wait for his next book to tell us.
Oh my God.
He advises readers to go outside of their normal comfort zone to determine who or what is the culprit. Yeah, okay. His books publicize the fact that the U.S. National Park Service does not keep an independent list of people that go missing in their parks. While there is a database for incident and criminal reports, it's not widely or consistently used, and it does not interface with other criminal databases. There was a petition signed to make them accountable. I don't know what happened with that. So let's see. The interest in the book series prompted the creation of the documentary film, The Missing 411. Film was released 2016. Kyle Polich. This guy is a data scientist and host of the Data Skeptic podcast. He documented his analysis of Paulides' claims in the article Missing 411 and presented his analysis to a skeptic camp held in 2017 by the Monterey County Skeptics. He concluded that the allegedly unusual disappearances represent nothing unusual at all and are instead best explained by non-mysterious causes such as falling or sudden health crises leading to a lone person becoming immobilized off trail, drowning, bear or other animal attack, environmental exposure, or even deliberate disappearance. After analyzing the missing person data, Polich concluded that these cases are not outside the frequency that one would expect. This is important because I have some data for you in a minute. Or that there is anything unexplainable that he was able to identify. This presentation was discussed in February 2017 article
I've seen
in the Skeptical Inquirer. Let's see. Susan Gerbic, she reported Paulides gave no reason for these disappearances, but finds odd correlations for them. For example, 2 women missing in different years both had names starting with an A with 3 letters, Amy and Anne. Polich concluded his analysis, I've exhausted my exploration for anything genuinely unusual. A careful review to me, not a single case stands out, blah, 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 blah. So they're saying Paulides is putting these two together as mysterious because they both started with A, and their first names both start with A. They're both 3 letters long, and they happen within 3-year period of time. If you look for,
I'm so confused.
If you look for connections, you're gonna find them. You can make them up anywhere you want. So that's it on the little article on Paulides. Okay, I went straight off Wikipedia. Like I said, I don't know where the hell my notes went. Would have kept that a bit shorter, but it is what it is. Now let's get some quick data, okay? Mm-hmm. And then we'll really get into this and talk about it. So just some quick data on missing people in different national parks. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Keep in mind, he's talking about mysterious deaths. Things are unusual. Great Smoky Mountains. 5 reported since 1934. New River Gorge National Park. 8 since 1977. Okay. Rocky Mountains National Park. Over 10 since 1933.
See,
Yellowstone.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, Yellowstone, 12 since 1900. Yosemite, 33 as of 2017. So we're seeing a step up in Yosemite, and I'm surprised we're not seeing a step up in Yellowstone because of how large it is. But, I mean, Yosemite is very popular as well. Mount Rainier National Park, 400 since 1989. 400 missing people.
I think a lot of those, or some of those, are chalked up to the climbing incidents. And
I'm sure. Yeah. And these include unsolved as well as solved, meaning found, whether found alive or deceased. This is just missing, period. Grand Canyon, 1,100 since 2018. That's a lot. I mean,
you know what?
It's cliff. Don't go to the edge, guys.
It's because people want to take a motherfucking selfie. Oh, look at me. Look at the edge of the... Ah!
Yep. I mean...
Fucking stupid.
Stupid is as stupid does.
You
turn around with a cliff face behind you going straight down and hold your arm up to take a selfie. Just knowing that massive, huge trench is behind you is enough to just play tricks on your brain and make you go and say, well, I've done it. It's one of those things like, I know I should not get close to the edge, but I really want to get close to the edge, but I can't, but I'm going to. And then you start feeling weird just because of how it is.
Yeah, I've been to, not the Grand Canyon, but I have been to a very large gorge that had like an easily 2,000 foot face, sheer cliff on it.
Yep.
And not going to get close. Mm-hmm. I will zoom in with my camera and I will land my stomach an inch forward, but walking, not happening.
Are we surprised when any of these TikTokers that get up on top of these cranes that are on top of these sky rises without any ropes and take these videos or that hang off the side of a building and try to do pull-ups until they realize that they can't do another one and fall to their death?
It makes me sick.
Hey, it's called natural selection, man.
Darwinism. Darwin Awards.
I'm not going to throw an opinion either way, but all I'll say is natural selection. Last bit of data here. 700 successful missing person searches and rescues in national parks each year. So
shout out, to the search and rescue teams all over these national parks. They do an incredible job.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Most of them are volunteers. They're firefighters or law enforcement and there are other professions or military in some shape, but they're going out in some of these locations is not
easy at all,
especially on the Appalachian Trail.
It's nasty.
Their survival ability and their knowledge of the terrain and their ability to read the land is absolutely amazing, and we absolutely need more people like that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, I wanted to put that data out there just to give everybody an idea of how many we're looking at, and the main ones are, come up are the higher amounts of Yosemite, Mount Rainier, and Grand Canyon. And I think I know nothing about Mount Rainier, but I know, Yosemite, Grand Canyon. I'm not surprised.
I know it's in Washington.
And now there's no real big claim from him that it's tons of people, that have these mysterious things going on, right? He's just making the claim there are mysterious unsolved cases he finds mysterious. So I wanted to point out how there's actually not a huge amount that are going missing. And that number, again, it does include solved ones where the people are found, whether deceased or alive. So I don't know. I mean, also, I'll start off with an opinion.
Okay.
I've never really looked into David Paulides that much. I have watched a few shows. I've listened to a few podcasts. I've seen the missing 411 stuff. It's interesting, right? It's entertaining, and that's that. Where to go beyond that? I'm gonna tell you where I go. I'm 50-50 on it up until now. Jared's probably gonna change my mind, but here's where I lack with David Paulides. I've watched him in the interviews, and I've watched a few of these interviewers ask him a very particular question. And when they ask him this, he pulls a Jeremy Corbell, he pulls a Lou Elizondo on him. And what is the question? The question is, well, because he puts vagueness out, and he puts things in a way to get you to kind of guess that this is the line of thought he's going to, which I'm guessing from what I've seen from him is along the kind of the alien type route as far as these disappearances. And when they ask him, just your opinion, David, not fact, just your own opinion. What do you think is causing this? It sounds weird. What do you think it is? He will never give an answer. He has never once given a answer for that. Even just his own opinion, he will not say. Right there is the only red flag I need. Because if you're putting this out there, you truly are wanting to make a difference, then that may be helpful information. I say if you truly want to make a difference, we need to be investing more money into these park systems. We need to send people out to see, hey, maybe we can better mark trails. Maybe we can make trails wider or more noticeable besides markers. And I mention that because we hear stories all the time of people going missing. And one of the most common things I hear is 3, 4, 5 people hiking. It might be a kid with them. There may just all be adults. But they're like, well, what the hell happened? They're like, we don't know. We were on this hike. He was right behind us. He was the last person in line. And he was right behind us. I had seen him and turned around, and it was like a minute later, he's gone. And you got to remember, exhaustion when you're hiking, you're going
That's
uphill.
That's literally what happened recently to a girl who sat down for a second. She was the back of the group. She sat down. She passed out. She fell into the fucking. That's the girl who was she survived for like 4 days and then volcano. Died. Yeah, her. Yeah.
Takes exactly what happened. If you get up on a piece of trail that's like a single track, it's not well marked, something like that, and you get into a part where the visibility of the trail, just this dirt path, kind of fades in with everything else. Maybe there's a lot of fallen leaves or brush or whatever over
or it's just on a well-traveled path, and you're out in the back bush. Like,
well, there's that too, but you could be on a clearly marked trail. This is how easy it is, and you run into a 20-foot patch where the trail really isn't too visible, and you're kind of guessing, and you're looking for holes in the trees where it could be. If you don't continue walking that route and you stop and you turn any goddamn direction,
it's over.
You're done unless you're visibly and mentally setting the markers in your head. Okay, that's where I was headed. Before I turn around, maybe I'll keep my body here and turn my head because I need to look around, because I don't want to lose track of the fact that I came from directly behind me. I have a way out. And it's that easy. And now if you're talking about someone younger, a kid doing this with an adult or more adults, dude, 2 seconds for a kid in front of your house and they'll get lost. Right. You know, it is what it is. So, it's easy to get lost.
Even experts have the same problem.
Yes.
Half of our special forces selection wash out due to the land navigation part.
Yeah. Not surprised.
And our Tier 1 unit above them, our CAG unit, also known as Delta, the majority of their course is land nav. and so if you think, and that washes out most all of them. I mean, they'll have a class of 100 and they only have 5 graduate and they only accept 3 of them.
Yeah.
And they do it in the hills here in West Virginia. But it is the terrain. People have this idea that they can dead wreck and they can where they are and they can just look and as far as they can see and they've got the right, but
it's
step
not
off,
like that when you get in the trees and
right,
stuff, man.
a couple feet off here, 3 miles down the road is could be almost a mile.
Well,
and
the thing is, most
having
people
to reset. So we have experienced guys that can't, and that's why that's why the effort is put into. It's not just a suggestion that they put up these these rules and regulations, and they have these login books and stuff. They have login books because when you go missing,
they know who to look for.
They know where the last place at least you were, and
they should
where
take a
to start.
picture of you too, so they know of your face at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's literally that easy. When most people go hiking, you're not paying attention to your surroundings. If you are, it's just because, oh, look how beautiful it is. Look at the view from here. You're not paying attention to, oh, this part of the mountain or the hill or whatever is on my side, or it's at my 2:00 or it's at my 9:00 or anything. And then you stop on an unmarked, not clearly beaten path, and you turn around and it's happened to me. All of a sudden, you're like, "Oh shit! Well,
Yeah,
which
you were up
way
in
do I
Mount
go?"
Shasta or in Sierras, weren't you?
Yep.
Recently. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's very clearly marked trail, but
right.
You can't really get off of that trail and get lost. It is very hard. But I have been to some in San Diego County. One where and this happened to me. I got to a part. I was working as volunteer to go walk the trails every once in a while. Blah blah blah. All this shit, right? And I got to this spot and I didn't really get that far at all. And I was already tired and I was like, I didn't want to fucking do it anyways. So I get to this part where the trail wasn't visible, which is exactly why I mentioned that scenario. It was all leaves. There was trees that had been burnt, half trees, hollowed out trees, all the shit. And I'm looking around and I stopped because I couldn't see the trail anymore. I had no idea where it went. I had the map, but it still wasn't 100% sure. And I was like, well, I do know the trail's right here because I'm standing on it. I'm going back. I'm not going to keep going because I don't want to fucking get lost.
Yeah.
And
that's where most people,
a lot of people won't
mess up is they think, okay, well, I've got this far. It's got to be right up over this hill or right up over this ridge. And it's sad. And the amount of resources that needs to go into protecting the trails. But not only that, but look at like Half Dome, the accidents that people have on Half Dome.
Half Dome's dangerous. There's no barriers on any of these. I
mean, they're when they're doing the climbs up over the have I got it right? Half Dome. That's the one where they got the.
I did that one. They have it's a cable that they have for you all laid out. They're weathered and pulled.
But the granite
hell no.
surface is slick, and imagine you and your daughter. Your daughter's 18, and you guys are up there, and you have to watch her slip and fall to her death.
My daughter's not 18. Don't message me, people.
But yeah, so this guy was. They were up there, and then you start looking into all the accidents and things that are preventable and things that are.
Yeah.
But some of it is also the majority of it is the user error, not following the instructions and look,
or just not using common sense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So
David Paulides, So I guess one of the big things that stand out right now is that he is, and this is why we have empirical research. This is why we have referee journals and we have peer-reviewed papers, and so that you can't just make claims that his books are successful, and rightfully so. But for the average person that doesn't know, you would think that every third person that walks into a national park is abducted or snatched up by a creature, an unknown creature, or just goes missing and we can't figure it out except their first name starts with an A. And so these connections that he's making, all of this stuff isn't even my issue with him. Because when I tell you my issue with him, I think it'll certainly be another red flag at least. And I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. I told you in the beginning, I've always given David Paulides a pass, if you will. If you make a mistake, he made a mistake, and he paid for it with his job, and he's reinvented himself. He did write 2 Bigfoot books prior to any of this 9 or 411, and his books are very successful. This whole missing 411 thing is successful until, like everything else, you start looking into it. And my problem with he can insinuate that there's a creature, or all that stuff is fine. You're looking at a small group of people that would affect. I don't think the majority of people care or would believe that. Right. Now, having said that, we are some of the people that do care, because we care about at least being factual and not misleading people. And here's the biggest issue I have with David Paulides. First of all, I mentioned to you that he and Ron Moorhead were friends, and that was part of the
Ron Moorhead was part of the Bigfoot thing, right?
The Sierra Sounds.
Oh, Sierra Sounds.
Yeah, he and Al Berry, and so they were best of friends, and maybe still are. And so what he does, though, and there's a couple people out there. You mentioned one of them. There's the Missing Enigma. There's a couple other sites and YouTube video or YouTube hosts, podcasters who put up the truth about this, and they just look into it. And when I tell you that some of it is a 5-minute Google search, or I understand maybe when he did this, they didn't have newspaper.com back then, but it's not been that long ago. And he's gotten so much push from this, from Art Bell and the whole radio, the paranormal radio, PM, AM, PM, whatever.
And I know you're talking about with George Knapp and all that.
Yeah.
KLAS in Las Vegas, they host George Knapp had a show, Art Bell, who I hate.
Yeah, the guy with the black mustache and the black hair that gets him on there, and that's all they do is just they go off of one another.
Art Bell's a prick. I have a hard time listening to him. I can't stand him.
Well, so here's where I can deal with his mistakes. I can deal with him messing up and not, maybe he tells a story about a park ranger. Maybe he was trying to build his ego up and think he was more important or so important. He was trying to, and maybe he's told a story so many times that he's just generalizing. All of that stuff I can get down with. I can understand, and I can give him the benefit of the doubt on that if he's factual in the other stuff.
Right.
So there are so many, go down the line, there are so many cases in his missing 411, in his missing 411, The Hunted, in all his series, West Coast, East Coast, that even has one that's The Devil is in the Details. Ironically enough, we're going to see that. And what he does is he takes the story and he'll cherry pick lines out of it and conclude that a girl went missing. Her mom gave the interview to investigators or to David Paulides and said, I don't know what she saw, and I don't think she knows what she saw. And he put that in the book as she didn't know the unknown creature that she saw. Mm-hmm. She's too traumatized to talk about it. But the most absurd, and this is several of them. I mean, you can pick out every fifth story he's got, and it's like this. The most absurd is there's a logger that went missing. He was a survivalist, didn't have a lot on him. Minnesota, I believe. He was missing for 18 days, and another set of hikers found him. They found him, called the authorities. They took him to the hospital. He was unwilling to go to stay in the hospital. He felt fine. He was dehydrated and certainly malnourished, but he had been living off of the land. He did have a rifle with him, but he didn't have the clothes to survive in the elements, and so he he had enough survival instinct. Well, David Paulides writes this story up and ends it with, no one knows what happened to him. And if you read the newspaper article, the second paragraph says that he was found and he's alive. And Paulides will put it in there that he's missing. No one can account for it. He went so many hundreds of miles off of the beaten path, and what happened, and why, and then he'll start adding in, and then other hikers claim to see something in the air. Here we go down that road, and so he's not being honest. It would pass zero peer-reviewed scrutiny. I mean, this is the reason why research is done the way it's done. And for him to take the numbers and skew them like he does, he's not just skewing them to his benefit. Mm-hmm. He's flat out lying. If it doesn't, if something's in there that he doesn't like, he omits it. And you can, fortunately, there's some good individuals on YouTube that have called us bluff on it. And they do it in a very articulate and very professional way. And I'm glad they do that. There's no sense, but he's making, look, these books are popular. They've been made into movies. He's on every other podcast, but they also do the same thing. They being these debunkers, the Mick West and in this case, Lore Lodge. He just absolutely throws his hands up and says, "I'm done with David Paulides. He's lied so many times." There was a young lady in Virginia or South Carolina, I believe, Eloise. She claimed, well, David Paulides claims that she was being stalked by these unknown men that he'll then go on to call wild men and feral. And wild men in West Virginia or in Appalachia are people that live in the woods. And I don't mean in the woods. They're people that their homes are in hollers and they're not. That's what people would consider. They're not cannibals that are out looking for people.
Right.
Well, he puts on there that he starts writing her story, and she claims that she's being stalked by these men, so she abandons her backpack. Eloise, I think her last name in a second. She abandons her backpack. She ditches everything and goes on the run. And for like 12 days, maybe, she evades, and she tells investigators. Finally, these two hunters found her, and she was extremely malnourished and suffering from the elements. Mm-hmm. And they took her, and her statement to the authorities was that she was being followed by multiple men with radios, with boats, with walkie-talkies.
What's that sound like?
The rescuers. And that's exactly what it was. It was the search party looking for her. She said they were calling her name. How did they know her name? And she was obviously starting to lose it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He puts that. Well, he takes it all the way to a mysterious creatures and feral wild men, and he leaves so much to be, so much to speculation there. Well, Eloise Lindsay is her name.
Why don't we do this? Let's look at one of these stories that he goes through. Now, this is just the story of what happened or some of the details.
I think
nothing. What's that?
I just real quick, just so I can throw my opinion in and have a word.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen a man who is so right and so wrong at the same time. There is 84.4 million square acres of national park in the U.S. There is also a small section that's in Idaho of Yellowstone that's actually technically under the control of a different state. So by technicality, murder is legal in that particular part because they're under the Sixth Amendment. There's absolutely no one who can go to, like, I can't remember the words for it exactly, but under the Sixth Amendment, like, there's no one to go there to testify.
No one has jurisdiction over that.
Yes, thank you. So it's just like, of course, I mean, I do believe that there are probably some weird things that have happened out there. I do believe that there's probably some trafficking cases, but has it been a creature? Absolutely not. So there he is, right but wrong. Like, right,
not
yes,
an
there are some weird
unexplainable
shit.
creature.
No,
right?
yeah. Okay,
You know,
that part, not an unexplainable creature.
and that's
This
where
explainable creature probably more than likely is man.
Yeah.
But like, that's what I mean. He's so right but so wrong. Like, yeah, there are some strange disappearances, but it's probably because it's trafficking as well.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
not necessarily a animal, but man is also an animal. Like, who's to say that's not happening either? So I mean, like, right but wrong. It's crazy.
He doesn't. He's got some criteria. So he says, if the person is voluntarily missing, if they left on their own free will, if there's mental health issues, if there is criminal activity or animal predation. So those are the 4 things that he supposed to exclude. But the majority,
how do you know? How do you know?
We know that the problem is that you're more likely to have a man, or a. I mean, we say this all the time. My Kangol has bet everybody but me. He's not going to lie and stab me in the back and file a lawsuit against me and sign a and go on a podcast and talk bad about me. Whereas it's human beings that are the ones we have to worry about.
Yes.
I saw that in the Indiana case of the 2 girls that were killed on the railroad bridge.
I live by that trail. Like, that trail that Manono trail. I don't even know how to say it. It runs all the way from southern Indiana up into Chicago. I live about a mile from my section of it, so it's really crazy.
Yeah,
it's freaky to know that's the same trail.
They had it on.
Yeah,
the video is chilling, but
God, it's so sad.
The thing though is he's not claiming that there are that these missing people are being hunted by men, or occasionally he'll throw in the feral.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
he's
so right but so wrong.
We would accept the fact that when you're out in you have to have situational awareness in some way, protecting yourself against mountain lions, cougars, bears, but people. And imagine being a female hiking on a trail and having a male walk by you and making eye contact with you. That has to feel unsettling, but it's also going to feel unsettling for a male too. If you're out in the woods, it's not nobody can hear out there. You may be in a place where you can scream all you want, and these things, it gets dark, you start hearing noises. But the fact is that you're more likely to be kidnapped, injured, assaulted, killed by humans than you are these creatures. And that's where he keeps going with this. And so that's why he's on these paranormal podcasts and with and they, what they do is they feed off of each other. Nobody calls him out on it. And so
it's so
like
sad.
Even John Allen gets a lot of his stories from, but notice he also doesn't put in the ones that, I mean, it would take, honestly, a Google search, pull up the newspaper article, and the second paragraph, it tells you that the guy was rescued. And so this is where I'm going with this is he is intentionally, this isn't an accident. This isn't, well, the editor missed this, or they misspoke, or this is intentionally misleading.
Changing the narrative. Absolutely.
Completely. And that's my problem with him. And as he falls into this whole Brandon Fugel and the Skinwalker Ranch and the others, there's manipulation, not just in trying to promote their product or a project that they're involved in, which everybody would do, but to manipulate it to the point where you're flat out lying about things and you're making things up that don't exist. And when you're talking about missing persons, I don't know that families of some of these people that have gone missing would appreciate the fact that.
Oh no!
So you were going to bring up a specific case.
Yeah, I was going to say is let's look at one real quick. Now this is just mainly the details of what have happened, and this is one that he finds mysterious because it falls into his guidelines of what to look for. So this is the disappearance of Jimmy Duffy, and this is short. So this is October 1973. So as a young boy, Jimmy Duffy, he disappeared while camping with his family at the Little Watchy Ridge in Washington State. Okay. So here's the details of the disappearance. Jimmy was camping with his parents and sister, and they also had their cat with them. His parents were reportedly walking around the perimeter of their camper when they heard a scream. Now, keep in mind, you hear perimeter of the camper. What I think is that's not far. You're not too far away.
Right.
So his parents heard a scream. Upon returning to the camper, they found the door open and Jimmy gone, but his sister and the cat remained asleep inside. Despite his father being a hunter, no tracks were found in the dirt around the camper.
And the cat didn't wake up?
Just because his father's a hunter, if we're taking from this the idea that maybe his father was the only one who looked for tracks and not law enforcement, well, just because he's a hunter doesn't mean we can take his word that there was no tracks. A 2-week search ensued, including canine units and air support, but no results. Jimmy's parents passed polygraph tests and were ruled out as suspects. So this case aligns with David Paulides, his research, what he does, his guidelines in,
when to include him in the,
what he needs to include a case.
Profiteering off of somebody's pain is wrong, especially when it's victims of stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like,
So
oh my God.
Here's a little more in depth, though. His parents left the camper to collect firewood, and they were about 200 yards away when they heard the scream.
So how is that the perimeter of the camper? The perimeter of the camper is on the backside of your camper.
200 yards is not close.
No, that's not.
It's not drastically far, but it's not close.
200 yards, that's like, what, 600 and something feet?
Yeah. Upon returning, they found the camper door open with Jimmy missing and his infant sister asleep inside. So the first thing I think about, allegedly the camper door was locked. We don't really know. But how could he have been abducted by person, animal, anything from inside the trailer without waking up the sister? First thing I'm thinking is without waking up the cat. Well, that tells me the boy, as any little kid does, this is why you have to watch them like a hawk, probably was bored, got up, and left the trailer. He could easily do that. His sister knows him. The cat knows him. The cat's not going to be concerned when the boy gets up and goes to step out of the trailer. Mm-hmm. If someone, it's like me and my dog, right? I could get up and go walk around the house. My dog's not going to bat a goddamn eye. But the second
you're so lucky,
my dog hears another person that she's never heard before, she'll hear a noise that's not normal. And we all know how that goes. Mm-hmm. Boom, they're at it.
Chaos.
So the first thing that comes to me is that this kid probably just ventured out of the trailer. And then from there, you got to remember his father found no tracks, right? Now they don't specify what kind of tracks he's looking for. They mention he's a hunter. I'm guessing he's looking for animal tracks, right? But was he looking for footsteps? And here's the problem with footsteps. All of their footsteps have been in this campsite. So how are you going to know if he came out and kind of walked off one way?
Yeah.
How are you going to know which of your little boy's footsteps walking off in that direction? How are you going to know those are from him getting out of the camper right now and going out there? Because that's a clue of where you could go look. And if you went and looked, you might find some blood on the ground from where possibly maybe a mountain lion or a bear attacked the kid and drug him off. Mm-hmm. Right? He's just looking for animal tracks. The kid probably ventured out, left the door open, exactly what a kid would do.
Yeah. And a kid is the perfect size as a snack for a mountain lion.
Yeah, and he walks off looking for his parents, and very quickly he's in some bushes, behind bushes, and doesn't know where the hell he's at. And guess what was watching him? A predator.
Kitty.
I've had it happen to me camping in a local area with I think it was a mountain lion bobcat.
If not friend, why friend shape?
Huh?
The mountain lions. If not friend, why friend shaped? That's probably, I would probably, if I was a kid and I saw a big kitty, I'd be like, Ooh, I would run straight to that
they don't
hoe.
know.
I would run into my own death.
I have to tell my kids every time we're out walking the dog, don't go up to the other dog you see. Let him come to you. Let him smell you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially you see he's backing off. He's not just running up, happy-go-lucky,
You
blah
don't
type
want to
of
say
dog.
hello right now.
Yeah. So, apply some common sense to it. And now we don't know what Paulides is saying, but we know what he's probably going to allege from all the other cases. Mysterious.
So, it's funny that you mentioned that screaming, and I'll tell you why. Because if you look up Karen Cooney, I don't know how to spell her last name, but so she was part of an investigation, and Paulides claimed that she was the last that was heard from her was her screaming.
She went missing?
She went missing, was later found. And I don't know if she was the actual, her name's Karen Cooney, but when they interviewed her, she screamed because she turned around and walked into the property's electric fence. And that's what she told the investigators, or that's what she told the authorities. And that was the scream. David Paulides conveniently leaves that out. And there's so many of those.
That would be a scream. Yeah, and God.
So, we mentioned the Eloise, but when the kids that go missing, there's one in here where he completely takes the statement that the kid made to the police, and he goes through and he'll take 2 sentences out of a 3-paragraph, and he deduces that. So the kid was out for a few days, and he had mud and oil and some other things on him where he was traipsing through the woods trying to find his way back. He was found. He was peeking behind a tree, and when he was found, when he was interviewed, he explained to him. They wrote that down. David Paulides takes that statement and changes it to where there was an unknown creature peering at the child behind a tree with black or mud or oil all over him. And he took that straight from the police report, knowing that it wasn't a mistake. And so he's doing that intentionally. So this isn't I didn't understand the policy, or I made a mistake I can understand with what happened at the police department. This right here, he's intentionally misleading people. And the kid's name, in this case, it's one of the most popular ones. So Joe Scott, the Missing Enigma, Lore Lodge, they've all gone in on him. So there was Jackie Copeland in 1950. That's the one that I'm referring to. The oil smeared on the child's body. Jackie Copeland, 1950, Pleasantville, Pennsylvania. If you look up that case, in 3 minutes you can see how David Paulides has changed it. And if he's trying to draw conclusions, not everything has to be connected to something else. Sometimes, just because Amy and Anne go missing, is not a crate because their letters start with A and
the closet goblins do not care for the women with 3-lettered A names. Like, the closet goblins don't care. Like, they're gonna grab anybody. Like, it's just crazy what he tries to think of.
And I saw the presentation that debunked almost all of his claims. But the sad part is that he keeps alluding. He pulls the Lou Elizondo, Stephen Greer, fill in the blank. He pulls he alludes to the fact that there's an unknown creature out there snatching people up, and yet he won't stand behind anything he says. At least he doesn't claim that it's classified and top secret. And at least he's not claiming that aliens have murdered U.S. citizens.
It's still not provable. And what better of a topic to do this with, to try and make money off of, because a lot of these are just ridiculously old cases. So anyone being able to, you're not going to be able to go back, retrace steps, and actually try and find the person and what happened and where. Like Jimmy Duffy, you're not going to be able to go back and maybe he was abducted by a mountain lion or a bear 20 feet away in the bushes. That's the scream they heard. And we know wild predators, one of the first places they go for is like the neck. And you got to think a small, tiny kid like that going for the neck, you're going to get the head. No wonder you hear a scream and you hear nothing else as the kid's dragged off by the head. And you can't go back and look for blood in the bushes nowadays, you know,
especially if it's a cat and they
cats,
and especially for a child, they've got no chance. Most people don't against a,
Yes. I mean, there have been incidences of like large cats snatching fully grown like men out of their beds. I can't remember. I believe it were lions. I think it was lions who were snatching people.
Cougar.
Yeah, but like I truly believe it was over in Africa where a whole village of men were like literally being snatched.
There was a movie based on that.
Yes, by the two brother lions, the man eaters. Like
there's a I'll tell you, like
men
or not,
don't stand a chance against large cats. Like a child.
I didn't realize. So being close to Cincinnati and the Bengals and whatnot, in Cincinnati Zoo, they have Bengal tigers there.
Ooh.
And then they also have a sanctuary in Columbus where they have Siberian tigers. And until you see a Siberian tiger beside a Bengal tiger, you don't realize how extraordinarily large they are. So there's the only guy that could interact with this tiger. No, we're going to get off on the Tiger King.
Siegfried Roy.
This guy was like 6 foot. 6, about 350.
Tiger King?
No, the guy in Columbus at the Tiger Sanctuary in Columbus.
I'm making
and the Siberian tiger would stand up on its back legs and put both of its paws on this guy's chest, and this guy could not. And just to hold him there. So the guy that the biologist that does all the History Channel. He's got a beard. Forrest Gallant.
Okay.
Forrest did a feature on a Siberian tiger in India that has killed. He's in a zoo now. He's in a sanctuary, but he had killed the most.
Another man.
The most human beings of any other big cat on the planet, according to his statistics.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Oh, this is in the 400 or 500s.
That's a
lot. And in India, there's that.
Jesus Christ.
So the cats,
like a year and a half
they're stealthy. You can learn, and I happened to be here in proximate to Columbus when the guy that had his own zoo there let all the animals out and shot himself, and there were full African lions, there was chimpanzees, there was bears, there was grizzly bears, there was cheetahs. They brought in
that's like a real life Jumanji. I would be scared shitless.
It was in Circleville, Ohio, and I believe it was in 2005. But they brought the guy, the famous San Diego Zoo. He was on all the Letterman and Johnny Carson.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
They brought him in.
Jack Hanna.
And Jack Hanna said, so what happened is the police ended up with terrible PTSD because they would show up on a scene and have to put these animals down.
Yeah.
And it's not, you're not just going to pull out your sidearm and put down a lion. But there were complaints like going years back to neighbors calling saying there's an African lion running through my yard. I know it belongs to our neighbor over there. In Ohio, there was no regulations. And Jack Hanna came out and said, you have to put the animals down. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's a tragedy. We need to work on how not to get to this point again with new laws, which they do have now. So this guy had gone off his rocker. They were getting ready to take his animals. So he committed suicide. Prior to that, he let all the cages open. And they end up executing most of the animals. Some of them, he had wolves. He had
some of his
he had a
those
bear that
animals
would
could have been relocated and saved and put into breeding programs and zoos.
They did that with a few of, believe it or not, when he opened up the cages, when the authorities got there, some of the animals had not left the cages. But others, they had it on the interstate. They had the interstate shut down with the big sign saying, "Do not lock your doors. Do not get out of your car." And so,
that's terrible.
To get to that, it's not. You can snatch a full-grown adult.
Oh yeah.
So let alone a child. But if you look up the Jackie Copeland.
Oh, okay.
You'll see Jackie Copeland. You'll see what I'm talking about, where Paulides absolutely changed the narrative to include to make. And for most people, like we said, they watch a 7-minute video and think it's real, and they don't take time to actually look into it.
But he's convincing. When he talks, he's convincing, but you got to look at what he's saying. And at the end of it all, when it comes down to it, he's vague. He alludes to things without specifically saying, and he will never watch a couple of interviews with him. He will never even give you his own opinion on what this mysterious thing is, even though people are asking him, are you saying it's like, do you think it's aliens? Is that what your opinion is? Look.
So now, and now it's come out now with all this research that people have done, which sometimes it's just looking up a specific name and you'll have the newspaper article come up. But what he's gotten to a point now where it's not that there's a debate over what type creature or are they being taken by creatures. It's his credibility in telling the story. He's obviously lying in the same way that a lot of these others are. And again, the proof is on him. He purposely he will never tell you because it keeps people in suspense and it keeps the next book coming and it keeps the next story coming. And when you've had books made into movies, the guy's successful and he's the way he writes and he's smart enough to know at least how to tell a story and how to leave that doubt, that speculation in there of what could this be. And for most people, that's all they're going to see is just that little snippet or that bit, or they're going to hear him on a podcast in an interview. And he is the same exact category as, it's the same thing with Brandon Fugel and with a lot of these other who they'll tell you enough. And then all it takes is just looking into it yourself.
Right.
But the Jackie Copeland one is a good example. The Eloise Lindsay, and those are just the few that I had on there. Like question mark, why would he lie about it? And I'm thinking to myself, well, he's trying to tell the story, and he's not doing that. He's intentionally misleading people to sell his brand, and
exactly,
it's working.
People want the drama, the excitement, the unknown.
It's legal to lie to make money. I mean, if you think about it, I'd recommend people out there go watch Missing 411, look at these cases and what he's saying, and then go do a Google. Right now with AI, it's super easy. All I gotta do is type in "tell me about such and such missing person," and then hit AI mode.
ChatGPT is honestly awesome for that.
But what are in these park systems, national parks, we were mentioning because that's what he investigates. But any of these large places, what are some of the reasons you can go missing? You could start having dehydration, exhaustion, and be hiking on a single track near the edge of a steep hill or a cliff, and boom, and you fall and you go over the side. You have predators that are hiding.
Vertigo.
You will never know we're there. Jump out and get your ass. There's tons of reasons.
The list is so long.
Yeah, some of these people go in these rivers. That I heard something recently about a couple kids I think that went off and they're done for now. Some people go in some of these rivers, and it's like I remember in Indian guides as a kid. I remember being scared shitless of this campsite we went to. There was a stream, river, I guess, and there was a waterfall not that far away from where we were going in the water. And I remember I did not want to fucking go in there. I'm like, there's a fucking waterfall right there. Why is the groups of these people from our Indian guide camp going in there and hanging out in this little cove in this river? The water's clearly moving fast. Like, why do you want to go in there?
once a year, once a season, and it's the season is in the autumn so in West Virginia you have the New River, the Gauley River, and the Kanawha River, and those are the three rivers that make up the whitewater rafting at the New River Gorge and all that. So the Gauley River is by far the most dangerous. It's the strongest. It's one of the top on the East Coast. But a guy I went to high school with, good friends, he went in the military. He got his degree in Parks and Recreations, and every year for the last 30 years, he's a guide up in on the Gauley River. And what happens is, so Summersville Lake, which is right underneath the New River Gorge Bridge, just slightly off, but it's a man-made lake. So every winter they drain it, and in the summertime they use it, and it's used as kind of a reservoir. But it's great. It's also one of the few diving locations where you can get credit for a altitude dive because of the height. And it's pristine, clean as can be. But when they at the end of like October, they drain it, and it causes the Gauley River to turn into a Class 5 rapids, or whatever the highest class is.
That's
and
awesome.
Every year, a guide or someone will die, and they get caught in a whirlpool.
Yeah,
and you're looking at it, and you're thinking, well, how? I mean, just you got on a life jacket, and until you get caught in something like that, until you get caught in like an undertow,
dude,
in the ocean,
I've been caught in an undertow in Lake Michigan, So a lot of people don't understand that, like, the Great Lakes are freshwater oceans, essentially.
Yeah, it's basically an ocean.
Yes, very much so. People, like, I as a kid got dragged under by a wave, got caught in an undertow, and I very clearly remembering to myself, oh shit, this is it. Like, because I didn't know what way was up. I was getting tossed around. I was almost out of air. Like,
that's a bad feeling too.
It is no fucking joke. Like, once you get caught, it's not easy to get out.
I stopped bodyboarding because of something like that. We used to go out, me and some friends, all the time, and we go out at night all the time by the pier. You could see it was great. And I went out with a buddy one time. We were on the south side of this pier, and we were on the south side. I don't remember. There was bigger waves over there. There's not much current, maybe a little bit going towards the pier, but the waves weren't really breaking well on the north side. So we're on the south side, and we're way out there, right? Because that's where these things were breaking. They're not that large. And dude, this freak set of swells comes in,
waves.
And no, but they just boom. All of a sudden, they're much bigger, and we can see the swell coming in. It's lit up from the end of the pier and all that, plus a moon. You can see out farther, and we see the swell coming in. It's clearly, even though it's far away, clearly much bigger, right? So we're like, oh shit. We start, we're sitting there watching it. We're like, oh my God, that's much bigger. We need to start moving out. That's not going to break here. We're going to get screwed. So we start going out, and this thing was so big, you do the duck dive under it, right? Well, this thing broke before us. We were screwed. It was nothing but whitewash coming in, but it was thick. It was heavy. Now, surfboards and bodyboards are very buoyant. You duck dive this thing, and it pulled me under to the floor of the ocean with the bodyboard. Now, I'm pretty sure I was already off the bodyboard at this point, and held you down there. And you have the buoyancy of that bodyboard pulling on you, and it's not pulling you up. That's how strong this is. So we get up and we look. Now we're getting much closer to the pier because it pulled us towards the pier. And now another one's coming in. It's massive. I'm like, oh my God, what do we do? So we're like, let's start swimming in, right? Let's try to get as close in as we can, which we couldn't do much. This thing came, the whitewash hit us, pulled us straight back down to the bottom again. By the time we got up, completely exhausted, out of breath, we were right next to the pilings of the pier, the cement pilings holding the pier up. Barnacle infested, gonna get torn up.
So gross.
And
I'm sorry.
we see the third wave coming in, the third swell, and typically around the third one is the largest of the 5 to 6 swells that come in a pattern in a set. And this third one's coming in. We're like, oh my God, the thing's huge.
That's what she said.
So we start swimming in. I go, dude, we're too close to the pier. We need to start swimming away from the pier, parallel to the beach. So we do. Thank God we did. We had started doing it. I think that was the other one we did, and it pulled us closer in. This one, we were too close to the pier. We had to swim under the pier between the pylons to try and get to the other side before this thing hit, because we didn't have room with the current to get away. So we swam under, and we got just to the last set of pylons in between the pylons when the whitewash just smack hit us. Fortunately, with that in the current, it pushed us away from the pylons, and we're good to go. Dude, we went up on the beach and laid down for like 20 minutes, and I was like, I'm fucking done. It held you down for that long, and you have the buoyancy of a surfboard or a bodyboard doing nothing.
So in these national parks, we could have anything from drowning in the river to going missing to animals, and human. Unless you come across the remains, if the person's missing, you can't tell whether there's an animal predation or not, because there's no. They're still missing. You haven't ruled them.
Some animals do eat the bones too.
And blood is also hard to observe in that type of environment with leaves and twigs and bushes and dirt.
It turns brown very quickly.
Yeah.
So in Knoxville, I had the fortunate time of being down there, where Dr. Ken Bass, the forensics expert on, it was the first place I had the body farm. So over at UT,
body farm,
at UT, right outside of UT Hospital, it sits right on the Tennessee River. They've got so many acres roped off, but there's at any time there's 12 to 18 different bodies that are out there in different states of decomposure. Or decomposition. They are people that have donated their bodies. They're usually homeless, or they're usually people that have, but their bodies aren't claimed, but they use them to test the elements, the humidity, how the body decomposes. When they can tell you, almost down to the hour, when maggots, the certain size of how long, when the person was killed. We all know about, when rigor mortis sets in and whatnot, but they can tell based on the level of mush in
maggots
the ground.
And
and even after the maggots are
larvae,
gone, they can tell, and then they go into the bone structure of. So we would go over there every year, take an academy class over there, so everybody had to, and plus everybody got to experience seeing a dead body as a police officer.
Yeah.
And you got to learn, but that's where that whole thing started from. And Dr. Bass and the rest of them were they were ahead of their time, because that started back in the 70s, 80s. But it was, and now there's been Texas A&M and I think several other universities that have taken after that. But the point is that you're right. You can decompose, you can and it can happen relatively quick, but I think at this point we're giving David Paulides way too much credit. He is absolutely, he knows what he's doing. He knows to be vague. He knows not to answer questions, that keeps his suspense. And he also, he's getting, people just don't know until they start looking into it, and pretty soon on down the road you're going to start to see more people recognize, and then people will put disclaimers up. And a lot of people like John B. Allen, who I love, he's a storyteller. He's not a truth seeker, as far as, he doesn't, he's to tell stories and entertain. So he's not going to feel like he's duped by him. And some of the stories are true, but it's the correlations he makes. And how do we get from Bob Lazar possibly working on computers at EG&G or at Los Alamos to now we got live aliens and aircraft and that we're back engineering? that there's no way we can get to the two. And with Paulides, he makes that leap, and no one ever questions him about it. He's got 2 movies made. But then you start to, and that's why like Travis Taylor and people like that are educated, that are supposed to, they understand, they'll be the first to lean on empirical research and research that can be duplicated across the board.
Right.
That stands the test of time. And yet he's lost his mind too, because all of a sudden he goes from, we shoot something up in the air to now we got portals. Of course we get to Skinwalker Ranch. He's trying to, he's jumping to conclusions way past what the normal person would do. And they're trying to sell a TV show. I get it. And but as far as David Paulides, I dare say that because right now he has discredited himself to the point that you have to take every single story he tells with a grain of salt. And not only that, but if you're gonna like read the story, you're gonna have to go read it from some other source to confirm that he's told some of it is so, and I don't think he ever anticipated anyone checking him. And when you get to the point where you have movies made, you think you're above that. You think you're the Lou Elizondos and Stephen Greer has never, ever, ever produced one single piece of evidence. I don't have any of them.
I don't typically loop Stephen Greer in with any of these guys, and the reason why is because he's like a known fraud. Nobody believes that guy. I mean, there are the ones that do, but they are that off track group. Whereas you got Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, you have Lou Elizondo, those types. There's some believability there.
Oh, I can tell. Yeah,
look at it, they're totally not believable. But like I said in the beginning, Paulides has rubbed me the wrong way because he's specifically not answering a very specific question every single time, right? And here's the thing. You're talking about making money, which clearly he's doing, and I don't have a problem with that if you're presenting the truth, which you just showed us. He's clearly not. He's purposely leaving things out. But think about this. If he was that good at what he does, and if it truly was mysterious, if he truly had answers, same with Lou Elizondo, Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, they would make so much more money being truthful about it and putting that out there. They're the only ones doing it that are able to do that. And if there were truth to it, they'd be making so much more money. They'd be employed by 3 different places doing these investigations and finding this crap out. And instead they're just resorting to books and videos and movies because that's all they have at the end of the day.
And on that note,
yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. On that note, I'm actually gonna have to leave you guys on that.
What's your outcome on Paulides? I don't know how much you knew prior about him. We've talked a little bit, but
very little. But as someone who is walking into a situation like, what's going on, guys? What are we talking about? Oh, yeah, that's kind of weird. He's weird. I don't believe this dude whatsoever. Like, that's how I feel about it. Like, if I walked into the conversation that you two were having about this dude, I'd be like, yeah, fuck that dude. Like, that's...
Well, and you know that in the beginning, I have always said I give him a pass. And I've tried to, because of law enforcement, because of other things. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, when you're lying...
When you're profiting off of somebody else's pain, you're a fuck ass.
And then lying about it. And like, it's not bad enough that somebody went missing. It's imagine if that was your son or daughter, and now he's trying to pretend like, or insinuate that a creature like Bigfoot took him.
Yep. That's so slap in the face. And
for me to go in on another law enforcement officer like that is, it's personal, but it's personal because he knows better.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie, again.
Of course. Anytime.
I appreciate that.
All right. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, I will see you next week, gentlemen.
We'll probably be wrapping this up in a minute.
Yep.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.